My name is Sam Tabar. I run strategy at AirSwap. AirSwap is a decentralized exchange. There's been a lot of headlines these days about centralized exchanges and all the front running that's going on and all the scamming that's going on and all the hacks going on in centralized exchanges. Centralized exchanges is really an old world solution to the new world that we're currently living in. With blockchain technology, you don't need a centralized exchange. You could actually use a decentralized exchange to make trades, whether it's tokens or whatnot. So we have designed the purest form of a peer-to-peer decentralized exchange platform. And we just know that that's going to be quite thematic this year. This year will be the year of decentralized exchanges. And we're really proud to be positioning ourselves for that. The people who are behind AirSwap, we have a fantastic team that's getting close to around 17 people. And everyone here are absolute rock stars. Our co-founders, Don Mazaitis and Michael Oved. Michael Oved is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon in mathematics and built the Asia portion of Virtu Financial, which was a high-frequency trading firm. He was there for many years, and he helped IPO that company for $2.5 billion. It was a very high-profile situation. And then Don Mazaitis built a product that was eventually sold to Google, and also a Carnegie Mellon graduate in computer science. And myself, I used to run capital strategy for a Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Before that, I was running marketing for a large Asia hedge fund, which was built to become the largest out of Asia Pacific. Okay. And before that, I was a lawyer for a law firm in New York called Skadden Arps. Okay. I didn't graduate from Carnegie Mellon. I went to Columbia and Oxford University.
So definitely a lot of people from the kind of more, let's say the traditional world. I don't know if that's true or not, but in the crypto opinion, probably anyway.
No, I could see what you mean. I think with respect to Michael Oved, he was, that's more like fintech. Yeah. And Don is definitely more on the tech side, and I'm probably more on the old finance side.
So just to go back a step, just for anyone who doesn't entirely understand, what is a centralized exchange? I mean, if you want to use historical examples or just jump straight into the crypto example, it's fine with me. But what is it, and why would I need it?
Well, a centralized exchange basically is where everybody goes to meet in this place, in a one-centered place where they make trades. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. There are exchanges, traditional exchanges like NASDAQ and so on. But in the crypto world, this kind of solution where people make trades with each other has really left people really, in many ways, in a lurch. So what happens here, you've probably heard of examples of Mt. Gox and so on. You hear about all these centralized exchanges where people are being front run. There are hacks that are going on. People are losing money as a result of this. And you really do not need, as mentioned earlier, you really do not need a centralized exchange to make trades, especially with blockchain technology. You could have trades that are self-executed through these things called an atomic swap. And with respect to that technology, you could have a peer-to-peer exchange where people can make trades without a middleman. Really, the mission of AirSwap is to take out the middleman. That's basically the ethos of the company, and the mission statement is just take out the middleman so you and I can make a trade with each other without somebody in between us.
So I guess the obvious first question for some people might be, if you're taking out the middleman, who are you?
Well, we're just a platform where people meet each other. So you've heard of Craigslist, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So Craigslist is not really a middleman. So we are finding each other on a type of search or index on Craigslist. And I buy from you and you buy from me, or I buy from you or you sell from me, or vice versa. But I wouldn't say that Craigslist is the middleman in that instance. And it's the same thing with AirSwap. AirSwap in many ways is similar to that.
And so I mean, I would if we want to continue the Craigslist example for a second. I mean, I know they haven't solved the problem either, but how could a decentralized exchange help stop a lot of the problems that centralized exchanges have experienced and created themselves?
Yeah, no, of course. So for example, there are a couple of examples for that. Yeah. So a decentralized exchange is not a target for hackers because there's no central focal point. There's no place where there's a central place where there's all the money that's parked and all the trades are being done. If a hacker got into that, then that would be quite lucrative for that hacker. There's no lucrative targets in a decentralized exchange because there is no central order book, and there is no place where all the money is being custodied. So AirSwap does not have, we don't custody anyone's money, and there's no order book to be hacked. So it's just not a target.
So
it's like going back to the Craigslist example. Imagine going to Craigslist and what do you rob at Craigslist? Well, really nothing, because Craigslist is not holding anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. But of course, continuing that analogy, I mean, I can rob someone who listed on Craigslist.
That's so absolutely right.
Are you intending to have any precautions to?
Yeah. Sorry. Exactly. Yeah, I think you were going right there. Exactly. Yeah. The value of the target is, if you're going to try to target somebody on Craigslist for selling a pair of jeans to you, then that's somewhat sad.
Well, it's a whole other conversation, but yeah.
Right. But if you have like a few $1 million, that's a more attractive target. And that's why hackers go after centralized exchanges as opposed to decentralized exchanges. The effort to hack somebody in decentralized exchanges is just not worth it.
So are you going to set like maximum trade limits, or is this kind of designed for the more amateur to semi-professional trader than?
Well, in time there will be more professional traders involved in AirSwap, and we certainly have conversations going on with that. But in the meantime, before these professional traders come on board, it'll be non-professional traders.
Okay.
But in any case, hacking a single trade is much less valuable than hacking a centralized where all the hub of trades are.
Yeah. And so let's just break apart the centralization versus the decentralization. Is the marketplace also centralized, or is the marketplace going to be decentralized somehow as well?
Well, the marketplace, you mean the indexer?
Well, let's just call them the listings for sake of a better word.
So that's centralized. That information is centralized, and you need AST, which is the token of AirSwap, to list on the index, on the indexer.
All right. Okay. So the trade happens through a third token.
No. So what happens is, so you take AST tokens, and you have the ability to list your token that you want to trade. People find you, and then there's something called an oracle. The oracle makes suggested prices on that token, but they're not binding. So it's up to you whether you want to follow the oracle suggestions or not. And you can make the negotiation off chain. And then once you decide what the price is, you do the trade on chain through an atomic swap, and it just automatically happens and clears, and there's no need for a middle person to help make that trade happen.
Are you for example, I think it was maybe a good one anyone can understand, so I'll keep referring to it slightly, but with Craigslist, for example, they don't really have any kind of knowledge or, as far as I know, care in knowing if a trade was successful or not. It's been a long time since I've used it, so I can't quite remember. But does something like AirSwap want to know? Do you have an interest in knowing that a trade was successful, and thus knowing that the two parties are?
Well, it'll be on the blockchain, right? So when the trade happens, it's through an atomic swap, and you see it publicly on the blockchain.
So I think this is the fundamental difference then. I guess
This is the fundamental difference. Yes, the analogy only goes so far.
Yeah. Now we've got down to the real difference here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. That's right.
Sure. Okay. So explain to me how. So are you creating your own blockchain here, or are you using a public blockchain, or? No,
it's public. So everybody sees the trade.
Okay. And what are you using to create that, out of interest?
You mean like the source code and?
Are you using another platform for the blockchain? Are you using?
No, it's our platform. So so it'll be our platform that we're building out. In fact, there's a roadmap, a technology roadmap that we've published publicly, and it lists what we're doing each quarter. And we're happy to say that we're running on time on that. So.
Now, I mean, I go to a lot of blockchain meetups here in Berlin. There's quite a lot. And to be honest with you, almost every time I go, I hear about something I've never heard of before. So
right.
The one on your site at the moment is the swap protocol. I think you mentioned it already.
That's right.
A peer-to-peer protocol for trading Ethereum tokens. I'd not heard of that before. I mean, it's a very clear name for once, which is nice.
Yeah.
So could you maybe explain quite what? Well, I don't know if it needs any more detail, but
basically the detail. It's been we kept it very straightforward and clean and easy to understand for.
Yeah.
And look, I agree with you. There are a lot of I go to a fair number of meetups, and sometimes after listening to somebody for an hour, I think I get more confused at the end of the session than I was in the beginning. So we tried to adopt a different approach where things are clear, clean, and simple. Yeah. So just reading our white paper, everybody just gets it right away.
Is Swap your own protocol, or did you make it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. And well, the co-founders made it, Don Mazzaitis and Lopa. Yeah.
And is that available for other decentralized exchanges to use, or?
You mean if it's open source?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is, but there are nuances in what we're doing with it when it becomes rolled out to the public.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And also probably worth mentioning that the beta has already been released, and it's been really successful. People have used it. There's been no bugs or anything of the sort. And our main net, where people are actually trading, there are around 40 very active people in our community who are using the mainnet, and that's been successful so far. So we're very excited to let that go in public.
I mean, actually, so I am these days mostly a Safari user. So I just opened up your beta and find I need to go to Chrome to use MetaMask, which I do have installed in Chrome. Maybe. So, what was your decision using MetaMask? And maybe just to very, very briefly explain to anyone who doesn't know what MetaMask is.
Yeah, that would be a good question that I could bring one of the engineers for. Her name is Deepa, and I will bring her over in just a few moments. But I was thinking perhaps I should give you some information about the people behind AirSwap and the reasoning why we chose them. They're fairly well-known people, but in the meantime, our very star engineer Deepa is on her way here to answer that very question. So
well, in the meantime, I'll ask you one other question then. What I've heard quite a few people attempting to start decentralized exchanges recently. So, what would you say will be the differentiating factor between you and them and all of them?
The technical design of our platform is the purest form of peer-to-peer. And it's the only way. It's the only one right now that where you just cannot front run any trades. People have tried to create other decentralized exchanges, but I don't think they've succeeded to the extent that we have with respect to our design. But just going back to that more technical question, I shall just pass my earphones to Deepa, who is going to, and hopefully she won't mind that. My ears are clean, don't worry.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So what questions did you have? I'm an engineer on the AirSwap team.
So actually I was just interested in knowing why you decided to use MetaMask for the trader. And so actually this is I'm recording this for a podcast, but also for an article. So maybe just very, very briefly explain what MetaMask is as part of that as well.
Sure. So MetaMask is an in-browser extension for both Chrome and Firefox that allows individuals to essentially make transactions on the Ethereum blockchain in a fairly easy manner, and that they're able to effectively load their private key information. And given that I would say the majority of individuals use MetaMask for a lot of their Ethereum transactions, we felt like that was a good approach to take by incorporating MetaMask for our token trader. And then as well as we didn't just incorporate them, we also did have the ability to use Parity. And with our most recent beta, we will be supporting actually like a Ledger hardware wallet. So we do want to extend our support for different wallets for use of the token trader. Does that kind of answer your?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that's usually the reason most people use it is it's easy to get started with. You don't have to do huge network syncs and all that kind of stuff.
I was going to say the alternative, like if someone were to use MyEther wallet, actually, if you look at the MyEther wallet site, a lot of their security protocols and everything, they're actually recommending people to use MetaMask, and they're recommending individuals to use have a hardware wallet. So I think the industry's kind of moved to best practices where it's like you should not be copying and pasting your private key in plain text onto a browser. So.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing that ever concerned me is just putting so much faith in a browser, which we do increasingly
I would say we're definitely at the infancy. And so like, I think as more platforms start supporting like hardware wallets and actually hardware wallet integration, it would honestly make me more comfortable as well for trying to like, if you're actually trading real value and real items and doing stuff for full utility. And so, I can see where like you'd come from where there's a little bit of skepticism of what's going on.
So actually, one thing that is another question I had. I mean, you can continue to answer; it's fine. What would you say is the easiest way for people to? And bear in mind, I'm sort of doing this for a broad audience. I kind of know the answer to the question myself. I just how would you recommend people? Move their various tokens and coins from a centralized exchange into a decentralized exchange. What would be the easiest way?
So I don't want to give in that I'm not a financial advisor. I won't say that I am a full-on expert for any
more
decentralized exchanges.
But
I would say if you look at least for like Coinbase or where I think a lot of individuals, that's their first approach from going from fiat currency into crypto, they actually do support transferring it into another wallet. And so it's pretty straightforward to just send the coins that you have in some centralized institution to another wallet address. And then for that one that you know that you hold it and actually have, like if you're the one who owns that wallet, I think you can be a little bit more assured that you're going to keep your funds safe.
Sure.
So I would say just export to a wallet that you own, and if you don't necessarily have a hardware wallet, you can use platforms such as Jax or like BitGo as places to do the storage.
Okay. And it's the next question is not so technical, so it's up to you if you want to pass back to Sam or not.
He's actually on the line as well, so okay, cool. No worries.
which was more about. I think the thing that interests me with the decentralized model is how does a platform determine value? Is it very much up to each user, or which is not a particularly new model? I mean, people in a trade defining what something is worth is nothing new. Or do you have like a guidance, a kind of someone is asking $50 per X coin? That's crazy. I don't know. Or is it very much up to each user?
Well, we do have something called an oracle that makes price suggestions.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that will give sort of a range of sanity in terms of prices. So if someone is completely off with their number versus the oracle, then the buyer will likely not finish that transaction.
Sure, I think I've forgotten that aspect. Yep. Okay. Cool.
But I think it's worth mentioning that there are many people who are trading these tokens and paying these crazy fees. It's probably worth mentioning. AirSwap has 0 fees. I don't think they realize that decentralized exchanges is an alternative to trade tokens, and this is something that will change this year. And so there will be a liquidity migration, we believe, from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. And I think that's going to be, we're pretty certain that's going to be a theme later on this year when this new model becomes available to the public.
And I guess just on a business question, so I'm assuming you make your income from listing fees?
No, actually. So we will eventually think about perhaps having a more premium model that's for professional traders, in which we will, in which there will be some fees. But for the time being, this is going to be run as a no fees situation.
Okay. Cool. Okay. I mean, I think
it's probably worth mentioning that not all platforms need to charge fees to have inherent value. WhatsApp was sold for $20 billion.
Oh, no. I know they don't, but I guess to sustain themselves in the long run, you kind of hope they do. I don't know. It's an interesting...
No, that's true. No, you're right. But we did sell $36 million worth of Ether in our token sale. And that 36
good
million
point.
has actually gone up. But since we sold on October 10th, when the ETH price was around 280, it's now well over 1,000. So having around the $100 million worth of ETH makes it very
It's actually a good point. I mean, to be honest with you, I think kind of this is going a bit broader here, but in many respects, a lot of the problems that the technology space has experienced in the past, feels like the past year, but I think it was kind of bubbling under before that, is that too few people were kind of holding too much control. And in some respects, the VC model of funding was really fueling that.
Absolutely.
Constant drive for income.
I completely agree with you.
And if we look at something as maybe more clear-cut as Patreon or Kickstarter, where people fund the things they're interested in because it brings them value, it's a nice kind of continuing the process. It's like, so yes, we as a platform make no direct income on anything you do, but once a year or whatever it is, we have a token sale, and if
that's
you
exactly
like what we do, then fund us for the next year. You know, it's like how podcasts and many things run as well. And I think it's kind of I think that's absolutely right. There's a much better alignment of interest when it's done that way between the users of the platform and the people who are operating the platform. In the old VC model, which by the way has been completely disrupted by the whole token sale I know.
Space, and for good reason, and thank goodness, because the misalignment of interest between VCs and tech firms have made it such that tech firms had to be very they couldn't think of a long-term vision because they were just getting too much heat from their VC shareholders to make money as soon as possible, and that created a misalignment of interest or an adversarial relationship really between the tech firm and their users. So we avoided that by not having any VCs, and we had a token sale, and so our alignment of interest with the community and ourselves is pretty good.
Maybe one more general question. Just because we've sort of gone down this path.
Happy to.
Do you? Does it bother you, or does it concern you that the kind of craziness over ICOs and the rising price in a lot of crypto tokens and currencies over the past few months was a messy and noisy distraction from good work that was going on in the community, or was it a necessary step? And it will kind of, a lot of people came in the funnel, and a few will get filtered out, but it brought some interesting new blood into the scene as well.
No, I completely agree with you. There's been a lot of noise with all this, these token sales, or some people call it ICOs, as you've called it. But we see a lot of parallels between today and also in the mid '90s. Remember when that came out? There was a lot of noise and a lot of all this .com, and there are many that did not do well, and there were some good ones that did pretty awesomely. So I think we've seen that. We see the parallels of that, and that's why we're trying to build an institution here. We're not cutting any corners, and we're just we're building a real platform that will last for a very long time, where people can meet and make trades with each other without a middleman and without fees and without someone in between them, which I think is really the whole spirit of blockchain.
I think that's a nice way to end that. I will certainly give it a try. I don't use Coinbase, but I do use another reasonably well-known centralized exchange. So
which shall not be mentioned.
I don't want to mention it just in case. I don't know. I don't want to be paranoid or anything, but just in case.
I get it.
So in probably the top 10. I don't know.
I'm sure.
I mean, bearing in mind, I mostly am not interested in US dollars, which kind of limits my. So yeah, but it was I'm certainly interested to try some of these with an initial pool of small amounts of tokens here and there, just to
we love that, and please give us your feedback. We'd love to hear it. And for those,
I think that'll make a good article in itself, like the experience of trying that. Actually,
that'd be great. And please, for those who are interested, if you go to airswap.io, you could certainly click on the link where you could try the beta. We'd love for people to give it a go.
Yep.